Well, good afternoon again. Yes, nearly 2 weeks. Disappointing, but there's been so much going on. I've been looking for some props because there's been a lot of questions. A lot of people would like to know about certain things, but you really need to have them in your hand to show them, anything to do with weaponry and stuff. Even though fake, you can still make do and show people certain stuff. So I've got the feelers out. New year, some things take longer than others, but I've got some good ideas, and rather than put a load of rubbish out, I've slowed it down until I get sorted. Well, we're getting there. Today I thought I'd change the scene slightly with all the depression that's going on and everything else. I'm going to go back about 62 years actually. I'm going to bring you up to date with something that I found interesting, because while I was in the squadron, B Squadron 22 SAS, I didn't fully understand the story. However, other people have heard the story, and there's been documented articles out over the last couple of years in particular, and it's all to do with the secret of the B Squadron bear's paw. Okay, that bit there, yes, for those, it's B in Arabic. The rest, I think you'll understand. It's got toenails, got pads, likely to be a paw. Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about. And there is some interesting parts in it, and it's still relevant to today. So before I do that, all of my merchandise, and it's no good individually sending stuff to me. I get it done eventually, but just go straight to the website. It takes PayPal, and it's got a Stripe office manager on there, which is easy. If I can work it, anybody can work it. So www.rusty-firmin.com will take you to the website. On there's a shop. Okay, both my books are on there. This one, Go Go Go, definitive story, the Rain Embassy Siege. It's Jamie Bell on the front, the British-born actor, plays Rusty Firmin in the film 6 Days, all about the siege. This one, the regiment, 15 years in the SAS. Okay, that takes you from when I was born right the way through to 1992, and which I'm working on the third book right now that comes on from this one. So that's called The Regiment, 15 Years in the SAS. Both of them, available on Audible as well. Behind me, the Resolution print, taken on the day by police snipers, which was the iconic day, Rusty in the middle with no gloves on. The story's in the book. It's fairly good story actually. It's all to do with snooker. Can you believe that? It's true. So the books are here. I signed them from home. Audible, as I've already said, is there. And to be honest, the surrender, that's me in front of a Picara aircraft on Port Stanley Airfield, 14th of June 1982. So I had that one turned into a print as well. And both of them are doing very well. If you want any of them signed, dedicated, go straight to my website, and it ends up with me. All signed and sent from home. We've also got this channel, YouTube channel, Rusty Firmin SAS TV. Try and get some like-minded people interested, get them onto it. Subscription's free, and better than that, we've got 15,000 plus now on there, and it's growing. So let's aim for the 16,000. Why not? We're in lockdown again. So on top of that, we've got the Facebook page, which is SAS Special Air Service, Military Collectors and Facts page. We've got over 7,000 on there now as well. So things are looking up. However, let's go back to the interesting bit. The B Squadron bear. I haven't got a picture of it at the moment, and the one I have got isn't very good. So eventually the bear, I'll tell you the story, was called Chieftain. Okay, like Chieftain tank. And it dates back, way back to about 1958, which is a long time ago, about 62 and a bit years ago. And nowadays there's insignia around all over with the famous B Squadron bear's foot on there. I've got some stuff, I've showed you the picture, and we'll come on to that in a minute. The story is that a guy called Jerry Mulcahy was a trooper in B Squadron way back then. And the interesting part is that Jerry, okay, he who eventually adopted the bear, so to speak, was just a normal trooper going about his everyday life. But the sad part about it is, if there is a sad part, and there always is, the sad part is that Jerry actually broke his back, and I'll come on to that in a minute. But the softer side of Jerry, having broke his back and introduced to the bear, saw him look after it until finally it passed away. So it's a bit of a sad story, but it is a truthful story. So here we have the SAS trooper, Jerry, and what he did is, in those days, there's a lot of tree jumping, and they jumped into the Malayan forest, jungle. Sometimes they'd hit the trees very high up, and in this case is exactly what happened to Jerry. He hit a tree at 200 feet up in the air, having come down all that way, and eventually he ended up with a broken back. Not funny. However, this is where things changed. Instead of feeling sorry for himself, went into the hospital, was looked after, had a corset type thing on, or as you would expect in those days. Remember, this is 1958. And then he became foster dad, if you like, a foster dad to the honey bear, okay, which we're talking about now. As I say, we called him Chieftain. I didn't call him Chieftain. His name was given to him, was Chieftain. And let's be honest, this little thing was about, so they say, about 8 inches long. Not very big at all. Tiny bear that had either got abandoned, maybe mother was killed, who knows. And of course, another friend of his, Tomo, thought, got the ideal home for this little thing. So he took it to Jerry, and Jerry became a foster dad. Okay, this is the start of the story. This little tiny bear would have probably died, been eaten, something like that, would never have survived on its own. But it was a hush-hush mission that when Jerry jumped in on, as they were in them days, but it did go painfully wrong, as we've already discussed. But Jerry was still able to play his part in SAS folklore. His life changed. The bear's life changed. And Jerry had been in the paras as a young lad, I think 17 or 18 years of age. spent some time there, 4 or 5 years maybe. And then he went and did selection for 2 SAS. And like the rest of us, he ended up in B Squadron. And way before my time, obviously. Great respect for what those guys did. They're the guys who paved the way. They're the guys who made it work. And now Jerry is laying there with a broken back. And he's got a bear. The bear was there to cheer him up, and that's why it was given to him by Tomo, a friend of his. And it did cheer him up. When the bear had been abandoned, the local villagers, or the local people in the area, spoke to the guys who got the bear and were taking it away, the little tiny one. And they explained very candidly that it could never come back because it would have the smell of humans on it. And even if it was found, its mother would probably eat it, kill it. So once it had gone, but it did have a life which it didn't realize it was going to have. And, you know, with Jerry laying there in hospital, obviously you can't get visitors every day. You're in the middle of Malaya. It's not funny. But what happened was that the guy Tomo and Jerry decided that they would look after that bear between them, and it became very popular within the camp. Okay, they even used to take it with them to the drinking dens that they used to go to. This is the guys, not the bear. However, the bear did go with them, and in Kuala Lumpur. So this was the start of the fun days outside of the hard work and effort that goes into being in part of the SAS. Especially back in those days, they didn't have the best equipment in the world, but they did have the willpower and resilience to overcome this type of stuff. No point in whinging and whining. Get on with it. So now we have a bear. We have Jerry and Tomo, and then the guys around camp got to know it very quickly, and they used to take it for walks in the camp and around. And on those walks, it was like a dog, apparently. Just follow them around, not aggressive to anybody, far too little, but it was going to grow up. And it did, in fact, cheer Jerry up. You know, it cheered him up a lot. Then there was a message. Jerry had gone away from the camp on patrol. The bear apparently was pining for him. Where's he gone? The bear didn't know where he'd gone, but, you know, Jerry had gone. I'm not sure how long for, but a little while. And of course the bear started pining apparently. The radio silence was broken to tell them what was going on at some stage on that patrol. God knows what the enemy thought. Even if they could intercept it, they wouldn't have a clue what was going on. But that's what happened. The bear was pining for a guy that was looking after it. Unbelievable. So it would become the official mascot, and that's what they tried to do, make it an official mascot. I don't think it got there because eventually Chieftain died of what was suspected then of pneumonia. So it's a sad case. But if you go, even in Hereford, when I was there, probably still pretty much the same these days. The fact is that back in Hereford HQ, there were pictures and stuff of the bear and patrol members and so on. Then there was lapel badges made with the bear's foot on there. And it's so nice to see that after all this time that it's still recognised. And there was a good article come up way back in, I think it was 2018-19, about it all. And you've got to bear in mind that Jerry now would be getting on, but the legend carried on, and everything that happened back then is still alive today. So his adventures with the SAS would remain forever. So now everything that goes on with him, because Chieftain's role in the SAS was never meant to be, wasn't really documented, but there again, after 60 years, it's still there. I've got proof. I've just showed you one picture. That's not particular Chieftain's paw, by the way, but I do have some pictures which I'm waiting to come back of the bear itself. It grew quite rapidly, but then it got pneumonia, as I've already said, and it was all it sort of came out when two guys of B Squadron were rummaging through archives and stuff, and they pulled all this stuff together, and lo and behold, it went back into those days, and how it came forward again is why I'm telling you the story now. Because any of the motifs and memorabilia are still quite out and about. It's not like hidden away. I've got stuff. I know other people have got stuff. But the fact is that the veterans of that day were the ones who brought the story to life, as I say, by rummaging through the different archives and coming across bits and pieces and brought the story to life. So I thought I'd share it for those who know about it, who've mentioned it. I've seen on Facebook certain things about the bear. I've seen pictures of this, that and the other. But the story is quite an amazing story, really. And B Squadron's animal, if you like, is the bear. The bare necessities. And actually, they did say somewhere that whilst they were doing the Kuala Lumpur, while they were doing the rounds of the pubs, taking the bear with them, the bear started a walt hunt of his own. However, the waltz weren't brave enough to go to places like that. So with that, I'll leave you. That is a little history of it. I'm getting on top of the other stuff, and I'm trying to get you some really good stuff, and hopefully it won't be too long in getting that together. So if you have anything, comments and so on, don't forget, this is filling in this one. We've had a rough time. It's how you deal with that rough time. That when you think back to what happened all those years ago, and then you jump forward in time, you can think, God, I wish I was back there. Or you can think, I hate where I am now. Stick at it. We'll get through everything. And as they say, we'll live to fight another day. Comments and any stories or stuff you want, you understand that I've got a million stories. But the fact is, some of them I've got to be very careful with, and some of the stuff I can't talk about at all, and I won't. So I'm trying to add a bit of something in there to make sure we've got something to watch. You guys are outstanding. Some great comments on there if you go and look, and I get on top of them, and there's some very, very good comments on there, and most of them, high percentage, are positive, and I'm glad for that, because it means what we're doing is moving forward slowly. But you know what? We can only do so much in a short period of time. However, as Jerry, Tomo and the Bear did, who dares wins, and look forward to catching up again shortly.